Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Today, one of the most outspoken legislators in the Assembly. Ray Hagar has the rundown.
Sam, Giunchigliani is considered one of the most passionate politicians and hardest working lawmakers in the Nevada legislature. But is she going to give all that up to run for the Clark County Commission? Sam?
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Pat Coward, Larry Matheis, and Martha Gould. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
Since its creation more than a decade ago, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has focused on 3 goals: preserving water quality, improving water conservation in Southern Nevada, and meeting the community's current and future water needs. Through thoughtful planning, responsible management, and collaboration, it's succeeding. As we move into the 21st century, the authority continues to embrace sustainable water development and efficient water use. That's our promise to Nevada.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment. This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are very pleased to welcome Giunchigliani to the program. She is Speaker Pro Tem, Vice Chair of the Growth and Infrastructure Committee, and member of Election Procedures, Ethics, and Constitutional Amendments, Vice Chair of Ways and Means, and member of Commerce and Labor.
That's a lot.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Well, Chris, first thing, do you plan to leave the legislature after this session and run for the Clark County Commission?
I'm going to evaluate and keep all my options open, but right now I'll see how my session goes, and if I feel I'm still effective for my constituents, that'll be my decision after session. You should always wait till after a legislative period, especially. Hopefully we won't have any more special sessions to make any kind of decisions about running for any kind of office, because usually we all go home and say, I'm never doing that again.
So this is a big maybe then?
It's a maybe. I mean, I've been asked to look at it, and I will keep all my options open. I think I've done a good job with my district, and I'll see how my session goes.
Okay, surplus, according to Perry Como, looking like $1.4 billion. Is the governor going to get to send any of that money back to the taxpayers?
We'll have to see what he comes up with. I don't think the DMV plan really was working because, again, the money wasn't raised from that. It actually generated and we have not received that comment about the 1.4 yet. But that was actually due to sales increases and gaming tax increases, not the payroll and the bank franchise. So we'll have to see how we come up with what kind of tax rollback or credits might be out there. What I'm hearing from the public is use some of that one-shot money and put it into the Millennium Scholarship, and I believe that's what Speaker Perkins is going to propose or has proposed. I think there's better ways to make sure that we're using the taxpayer dollars wisely, and we have to be very careful not to put it permanently into a budget so that it becomes rollover dollars.
You know, Lynn Hetrick said on this program that he felt there was going to be a feeding frenzy at the legislature this session, and that his job was to make sure that the money was at least spent wisely. Do you agree with that?
Yes, we have to be very cautious and very concerned. In fact, Chairman Arbery and I met yesterday to make sure that we're on the same page, because we can't allow the laundry list of I want. That's irresponsible. And what we're trying to do is make sure we know what's out there, what's the underfunded needs. Is it Medicaid? We're hearing the mental health budgets right now. We have property in northern Nevada, the campus, so to speak, of the mental health that we've delayed maintenance for years. Some of those buildings should be bulldozed. That's a more responsible use of the money rather than delaying and letting people do it on pork projects. So we have to be very, very cautious. Our biggest problem this session so far, and again last session, is the budget division has not been made accountable. So every budget hearing that we have, we find 5 and 10. Oh, we have another amendment. Oh, we have another amendment. So I think what's happening is you've got agencies going around the legislature, going directly to the governor's staff or the budget division. Oh, well, you know what? We really needed this, and it just wasn't put in the budget. And they're bringing amendments. And that's, making our staff have to do double work, and it's a way to keep us off balance, because we don't always know what's a perk or what was really intended and necessary for their agency. So we're having to really watch that very carefully.
Chris, you're known as a lawmaker who takes on crusades, and your key crusade, it seems, this time is the minimum wage issue. You want to raise it from $5.15 an hour to $6.15 an hour. Now, this thing passed by almost 70% with a ballot initiative. Do you think you can keep that momentum going through the legislature, especially when this has to get through a Republican-dominated Senate?
Right. Yes, I actually, in '93, tried to do an increase on the minimum wage. I had the bill last session to increase it by $1 because I could not get the Senate to act on it. That's really part of the reason it even became an initiative petition. The public is very supportive of it. That's why I decided, in talking with leadership, let's make this part of our Democratic plank, but it's one that's a bipartisan issue. As you pointed out, 68% plus across the state supported the constitutional amendment. What I'm trying to offer is maybe let's put it into statute so that if any problems happen, we actually have the authority to change it without having to go back for another vote to amend the Constitution. And secondly, it brings it to our working men and women a year earlier.
You know, what saddens me, Chris, is that somebody could work 80 hours a week at that minimum wage, even at $6.15, and still end up not making it.
Exactly. They're even with the dollar increase, they'll still be making less of what you can make on welfare. What does that tell people?
But Chris, about this minimum wage thing, the minimum wage was never meant to raise a family on it. Wasn't it for more part-time work, like to get young people in the workforce? If you raise the rate, these young people may be left without a part-time job.
No, I think the young people will continue, and I think all the statistics, in fact, show that they will not lose their part-time jobs. But unfortunately, America has changed, and even though the economy is back up, we still have more minimum wage jobs than you do anything else, especially within the service industry. Nevada's a perfect example of that. And so, unfortunately, now you're expected to try to raise a family on $11,000 a year, and there's no way you can do that.
Okay, let's take a break, Chris. We'll be right back with Chris Giunchigliani on Nevada Newsmakers after this time out.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Sunbelt Communication.
If it's hot, it's here at the Pepper Mill. The Pepper Mill has over 500 of the hottest video theme slots. And with the $100,000 Winter Video Theme Slot Fest, there's no smarter time to play these winning machines. Win your share of the money with $2,000 random cash giveaways every Monday and $5,000 drawings every Friday. And new players can get up to $100 free play.
The slots that rock are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you winning?
Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers with Speaker Pro Tem Chris Giunchigliani. Chris, you used to work for the university system, and you gave up that job with Southern Nevada Community College because they weren't giving you any work to do. And you were on the sidelines of that big fracas there that we all saw. What are you looking at in terms now of the university system coming up and looking for a lot of funding? They didn't raise all the private money they were supposed to raise for Nevada State College. They're asking for a lot. Are they going to get it?
I've been long an opponent to the creation of the Nevada State College, so I've been pretty consistent on that. And they made a deal, and the deal was that they would come up with the private money, the $10 million, and I don't believe the taxpayer should be the one to spend that until they show the commitment. I know the chancellor's been getting donations, but again, it's all now it's tied to whatever the legislature appropriates. And I'm sorry, a deal was a deal, even though it was made before him. And it continues to show me that in Southern Nevada, that's not necessarily what the public wants. Part of it was because of the way it was handled on creating the state college. Conceptually, if we're going to have one, I've offered some ideas to make it work. We need a seamless transition. I'm sick and tired. It's 20 years now we've been working on articulation. You still have within the system various institutions refusing to accept the credits from one sister institution to another. We have kids that their college credits are accepted by Berkeley, by Harvard, but not UNR or UNLV. This has got to stop. So there's a lot of actual things that affect the students that I want to take a look at. Now, while I did quit my job, not only because of the no work to do and kind of being isolated, and I think it was also tied to my whistleblower case, I still will. I'm passionate about K through 16, so my judgments will always, my criticisms will always be constructive, and they better make their case. I do my homework. I do the same thing in K-12 budgets, so they just better expect for me to grind their numbers just as much as I would anything else. I'm even more concerned now about the whole thing that's happening in northern Nevada, both with the energy retrofit audit. I think people brush that under the rug, and I think that there's some horrible games that were played, money that was made that I'm still going to take a look at. I think the whole issue of the agricultural department, illegal video cameras, I think they were going to have a lot of explaining to have to do.
Let me ask you this as a follow-up. We've got a new chancellor, we've got a new president at Southern Nevada Community College. Have there been enough changes to make you comfortable to continue working with the university system in an appropriate way?
Oh, I will always work with them. I've met with Dr. Carpenter, the new president. He's a very, he's done some wonderful early on good administrative decisions. He's gone in and looked at efficiencies that I had complained about during my brief tenure, trying to streamline projects, making sure that students come first. So I have to commend him for his short tenure for coming in. You have to, it's no different than when you run for an office and you don't get endorsed by somebody. You can't punish people for that. You just have to say, okay, now it's time to work together. I will always do that, but again, I will criticize, and I think that's part of my job.
Chris, you gave up your committee chair to become the Speaker Pro Tem of the Assembly. Does this setup give you more or less influence and power?
I don't think leadership positions deem anybody powerful or less powerful, and I really didn't give up the chairmanship for that purpose. When we were looking at the number of bright young men and women that have been elected in our party over the last 4 years, you have to begin to spread the wealth. And in order for some people to get chairmanships that have been hardworking soldiers, such as Sheila, then I offered, you step aside and let someone else move around so that you can kind of spread that leadership and that working ability. People that know me up here know I work hard. Doesn't matter if you deem me a leader or not. I'm going to do my job, and I got a number of bills that are very passionate. I'm vice chair of 2 major committees. I think I'll be busy.
Okay. Yeah, Chris, you've been through 8 regular sessions of the legislature, 5 special sessions. Why haven't you, and you've done a great job in a lot of ways, why haven't you been on the Democratic leadership team before now?
You'll have to ask some of them. I think part of it is... I think former Speaker Deeney, who I'd worked with for years before I even ever ran for office, while respecting me, was also threatened by a strong personality, a strong woman. Mm-hmm. I think that continues, but that's not my problem, that's their problem. I'll work with anybody. That's the school teacher side of me. But if they've got I guess, I don't know. I haven't asked them why. You'll have to ask them why they never felt to bring me in. And maybe it's because I was seen as more effective as being a workhorse rather than the other way around. But I'll prove them wrong on that if that's the case.
Let's change topics here. Kathy McLean wants to bring back the Equal Rights Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think what she's looking at, and she's got to look at the legal side of it, is if we can even start the process over again. But I do think the issue of equity and pay and equity, and you're still finding it in the medical profession. I just read a newspaper article last week that even though they finally recognized that heart disease is the #1 killer of women, they found that the research is still not being done, and that was pointed out 10 years ago. So the whole issue of ERA, I think, is actually broader than just the amendment. It's really recognizing that there's still glass ceilings in many areas, and we need to talk about that.
Chris, we're out of time here, but we want to welcome you back anytime you're available. We'd love to have you here. We
Thank
appreciate
you very much.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
Thank you, Chris.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
It really was a matter of confusion, and I also had the stress on my wife was considerable too, as she ran around talking to the right people and trying to track down resources that would improve my health and make me independent again.
One-stop access for caregivers, NevadaCareConnection.org.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And we're joined today on the Power Pundit panel by Pat Coward, lobbyist here with Carrera, Nevada. Welcome. Pleasure to have you back on. Martha Gould, a Washoe County Democrat, and Larry Matheis, the executive director of the Nevada State Medical Association. So Chris Giunchigliani looking perhaps at the Clark County Commission. Your thoughts on that?
That's what I've heard. I think Chris is a hard worker. I think she's had a real impact on the legislature, and I think she'd have a great impact on Clark County.
And I think it's part of a much larger issue of this legislative session. As much as anything, this session is about where a lot of people plan to make their next moves politically. Yeah. You've got all constitutional offices are going to be open, we expect. That doesn't happen very often. You've got term limits coming up that'll be affecting the first wave of senior senators, senior assemblymen. You've got power shifts going on. The county commissions become more interesting. So I think we're watching an awful lot of people auditioning for their next campaign.
Very, very true. But you know, Chris, in many ways, is a real statesperson. She's done an excellent job in the legislature. She's a woman, I think, of great ability, and whatever she decides to do, she will do it very well. I would hate to see her lost to the legislature because we lose that knowledge and experience. But if she makes the decision to run for another office, if I lived in her district, I certainly would vote for her.
Well, you're a Democrat speaking about another Democrat.
Okay, no, I am a citizen speaking about a very good, competent, knowledgeable legislator.
A Democratic legislator.
Chris Giunchigliani, though, has never been afraid to speak to power and to tell it what she thinks, no matter what the consequences.
That's why we love her as a guest.
And I think that kind of curmudgeon is so valuable in legislative proceedings.
It's not
somebody who will say what may not be the most politically correct thing, but who will pursue a line of inquiry and a line of issue until it's fully explored. That sometimes has meant that she hasn't been as appreciated, or as her work hasn't always been as successful as it could have been. But it's also meant that the process itself has benefited a great deal from it. Chris is a very good legislator.
Chris, are we going to learn to live to regret term limits?
I think so, because what happens with term limits is you lose your most experienced lawmakers, and then you get all these freshmen coming in who have to go to the lobbyist to learn about state government, and that just plays into lobbyists' hands.
But that's, you know, not a good way to govern.
Yes, I agree, but I think we have 12 years, which is a sizable amount of time. It's not like California, where I think you have 8 years in some of the other areas. So you do have a longer tenure that they can serve in the legislature.
Term limits is another way of saying that we as voters and we as citizens don't do our jobs.
That's
if somebody
correct.
is incompetent and a dope and a jerk, knock them out of office and put somebody else in. There's plenty of dope.
If you look over the history of especially the Assembly, you have quite a churn factor over the years.
Yeah.
And I think we have seen, and I think this was brought up when it was an issue when the voters voted on it, but we have a pretty good turnover in the lower house.
We've had about a 40%. We had about 40% turnover, but we rarely unelect incumbents. What happens is they get bored with being in the assembly. They move up. They run for some other office. We've had about
there's Wendell Williams that was unelected.
He was unelected.
Yes.
This state is growing so rapidly, and the power and the population lies in Clark County. As more and more new people come into the legislature without a history of what has happened in the state, without the knowledge of what goes on in Nevada, they have a learning curve. And because we have term limits and we tend to lose the people who know the history of the institution in the state, you don't necessarily have good legislation.
Well, you know, about the next session, this has nothing to do with term limits, but we could really lose 3 of the 4 leaders. We could lose Perkins, Titus, Raggio, and the only leader that's really back would be Lynn Hetrick out of Minden.
And Barbara Buckley.
Talking about the top leaders, the minority and majority
another
leaders.
2 years with Raggio.
Yes.
Well, if he decides to come back.
Right.
Yeah. So life is a transition, and we've actually had a steady state for a lot longer than probably we deserved. We're going to see changes, and we're going to see those changes. Some of them will be good, some of them will be bad. Most of the things that they'll try to do will fail. because most of the things we try to do in life.
You know, one of the things that's so important, too, to consider is the 120-day session. It's like drinking out of a fire hydrant.
Big mistake.
Well, regardless, we have it, we got to deal with it, but it moves very fast now.
And the other mistake that we have in this state is that you run for the legislature, we have a citizen legislature, but you only get paid for half the time that you serve. Now that really is rather ridiculous.
Well, and they're trying at this point to fix that.
Yeah. And that needs to be
Let me ask you a
fixed.
question, Pat. Is the legislature adapting now to the 120-day session? Because one of the complaints I heard was that for the first couple of sessions that it was under this, it still treated the session the way it used to, so it kind of took its time at the beginning and then picked up steam in the second half. Are they jumping right in this time?
I think they've had a little bit of sluggishness getting the bills out, but I think they have been moving bills as they come through. I think it's a whole different environment. You know, at one time we saw up to the neighborhood of something like 2,000 bills introduced during the session. We're down to like 1,100 right now.
But isn't that partially the Kathy Augustine impeachment trial?
And I think that was some of it too.
Well, and we've had tornadoes in Southern California. Las Vegas looks like Seattle with the rain. The gaming industry is not opposing a lottery system. So it's possible the legislature might actually get their job done in time. And if so, then I suspect it's also the time of the apocalypse.
You know, I really doubt
we will get it done in 120 days.
We are out of time. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Your best value in sight is here for you to see. From frames to lenses to eye exams, you're covered A to Z. Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Davis Optical Centers, with 2 locations in Reno and Sparks.
Davis Optical, your best value in sight.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
Hole in your roof or a whole new roof, the folks at Van Dyne Roofing can get it fixed with their eyes closed.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
As always, we love to get your emails at newsmakers@kvbc.com and newsmakers@krnv.com. Coming up tomorrow, Ray?
Well, Sam, we have Marty Bibb, the Executive Director of the Retired Public Employees of Nevada, and Sandra Tiffany, Conservative Senator from Las Vegas.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.